idea of being estranged and wanting to get to know somebody from having been slightly estranged from that person. I think we can all relate to that on some level. Well, not all. People have amazing dads.
Fuck them. Films for daddy issue people only.
Shaped donuts. They are absolutely delicious.
Just to get one thing straight, this is bullshit.
This is probably the second weirdest movie I ever made.
It was the most insane 3 minutes of film you can ever see.
Maybe that's where you thought there should be more boobs.
We have sold more alcohol tonight than at any point in the history of Beyond Fest.
Well, Elijah's the only star I kind of know, so...
Tonight we have got the West Coast premiere of Come to Daddy.
You hear you said Australia there.
No, never. So we fell in love with this film the second that we saw it. It gets very dark. I just want to warn you all now, but it is beautiful, it is hilarious. And when you leave this theater, please tell everyone about it. And if you don't love it, much like with, I think, Parasite the other day, I will eat my shoe on this stage if you don't love this film. So you had my word. You had my word.
I'd also like to say it's a great therapeutic tool to deal with any daddy issues you have.
Yeah, are there any fathers and sons in the room right now?
It's one
Not with you. Okay.
There's a one-man father and son.
It would be traumatic. But no, we're really proud to be able to have this. And then as part of this, we've also got the filmmaker and Timpson in the house, and we've also got Elijah Wood, who's the star of the film as well. But we want to bring up here the man who actually made this film. He has traveled across the world to be here with us. He actually sent this video yesterday, literally on horseback, making his way here. He's long been a friend of the family. We've screened the films that he's produced in the past, but this is the first film that he's directed. It's the first time he's been to Beyond Fest, but he has been a part of this scene and just an incredible force, not just from New Zealand, but his tentacles extend all the way across the world. He's done more, I would say, in that country to support genre cinema and genre filmmaking than anybody else. Huge pleasure. He's a stand-up guy. He made a brilliant film. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ant Timpson.
Thank you for a wonderful introduction, Christian. Thanks everyone for coming out on a Sunday night, and thanks so much to Beyond Fest. It's a real treat to be here. I, as you mentioned, I have a history with the American Cinematheque. I used to loan prints on the sly when it was a very shadowy activity to own prints. But I'm glad to see that a few of the titles made it up on the big screen here, so this is a real treat. When I was a kid, the #1 star in the world was Elliot Gould for me, so the fact that I'm sharing the stage with that dude today is like kind of mind-blowing, so I feel a little nervous. And thanks for a lot of friends, familiar faces for coming out. It really means a lot to me to see you guys here. So I don't want to wrap it on too long. We're going to do a great Q&A for someone who's got a lot of daddy issues. Elijah Wood himself will be, that sounded really wrong. He will be here afterwards to answer all your questions, so please hang out. It's going to be a fun Q&A. I'm going to continue drinking beer, which will make it even more enjoyable. So let's get it underway. This has Come to Daddy. And please, someone really hate the film because I want to see him eat his shoe afterwards.
On the subject of eating, and so you've never been, we love to make donuts for special occasions like this. So we've made, with our good friend's donut friend, you'll see in the film that...
Don't say it.
It gets a little scatological, and so in honor of that, we've made... So they are poo-shaped donuts. Do you want to kind of show to the audience?
Yeah, show those
They are
babies off.
delicious. They are absolutely delicious. It's chocolate raspberry. Lucky, Galbert, can you hand out the donuts?
I'm good.
Please,
Release the donuts.
So enjoy the donuts, pass them around. Stick around in your seats afterwards because we'll have Ant, Elijah, myself, and we'll talk about this brilliant film. Thank you all for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, Ant Timpson's Come to Daddy. When we're considering films for Beyond Fest, we always try and have like an oh shit moment in which we know that the audience is going to respond. And as soon as that scene when Norval and Elijah, when he's talking to Michael Smiley and he stabs him in the head, we were like, we have to show it because we need people to squeal, and you did right on cue. I don't know if that says more about us or more about you, but you guys are twisted. So, just for part of the festivities, Elijah and Ant bought you a couple of beers, so take a beer. Can you catch? There you go. Okay, take one and pass it back. Do your thing. I think we should bring out the two people that are really responsible for making this brilliant film. All the way from New Zealand, the director, Mr. Ant Timpson, and all the way from Los Angeles, the star, Elijah Wood.
Hello.
Hello. I'll just take some Caesar.
Hi. Oh, what a ride, eh?
What a ride! Yeah, we've been selling this as the kind of like the sleeper hit of this thing because there's no information.
Did everyone fall asleep? Is that what you're saying?
No one fell asleep. That was a beautiful thing. But there's no information about this film out there, so people came in cold, and it was really, really good.
Oh, that's
just
fun.
to hear this audience, like they were hooked from the very beginning. So it's a beautiful film. It's very heartfelt. It's very dark, and this started. So you didn't write this film, right? But it's based on it's an idea that you had. There's a little bit of a
Legally, yes.
yeah, but there's a bit of an autobiographical background. How did this thing come about?
Yeah, the writer is Toby Harvard, who is fantastic, and
Greasy
co-wrote
Strangler.
The Greasy Strangler, which we produced many moons ago. And so I had a really traumatic experience with my pops. He carked it in front of me.
And for those people that don't know, carked it.
Carked it means drop dead.
Yeah.
Sorry. You can just translate these sort of Kiwi euphemisms as I go along. So he dropped dead in front of me, which was traumatic, and then his partner at the time thought it would be really a good part of the grieving process to embalm him by her ex-husband, who was the mortician. And
I didn't know that detail.
yeah.
Her ex-husband was the mortician?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. But if you put that in a film, no one would believe how weird it is. So it was quite unusual. So he came back in a coffin and just hung out in the living room, and then she skedaddled away and said it would be good for you kids, us kids, I'm like 100 years old, to hang out with the body and just grieve with him. And I was like, yeah, thanks. And then my siblings were kind of busy for the period, so they spent a little bit of time in there. This was at his house. And then, so I stayed most of the time. And I did a lot of things that Norval does in the film. I sort of wore his clothes, and smelt everything, and then I went down late at night. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
He's a really nice person.
Because you watch a lot of films and bad TV movies, and you're supposed to go down and have these conversations with your dead parents and all this unfinished business you have with your father, and get it off your chest and all the things you didn't say while they're alive. And I just went down there and looked at him, and it was like looking at Christopher Lee in a coffin waiting to pounce at me. And I never sort of got everything off that I needed to got off in front of my dead dad. Yeah, this is going well. And I started like having these really weird surreal dreams about, did I really know my father? Because during the day, people came and paid respects to Big Tony, as they called him, and I knew most of them. They were like relatives and things, and so it was very normal. But then there were people I had never met.
Did you know him as Big Tony, or was that the first time you'd heard?
I never referred to him as Big Tony, no.
Right.
But we're both called Anthony. Right. So he was I guess the Big Tony. Yeah. But then there were people that had this history of my dad that, like, from his early years, that I had no idea about. So this really sort of incredible, convoluted history, like really rich and interesting. And I sort of knew that he was like he's a boxer at a young age, and then he was like, he worked on sheep stations as a kid, and then someone paid for him, an anonymous donor paid for him to go to school, and he lived in the Depression. It was kind of like a rough childhood. So all these stories were like, wow, I don't think I really, and he was a very stoic guy. He never sort of shared all this early history about him. And so in my head, I started like playing, I was like, maybe I didn't really know him. What if he had this dark past? And then I kind of thought, like, I felt, because when you watch someone die in front of you, you think, shit, life is really short. Maybe I should do something with my life. I've been producing other films for other people, seeing their dreams come to fruition, and I thought, I was that kid, I was that filmmaker, early on. I wanted to make films. I started making films, short films, and then I just went and deviated for like a quarter of a century. And I was like, I'm going to make something. It's kind of like a tribute to Dad. A film he would kind of dig. And in my head, it was going to be like this really lo-fi sort of scary supernatural short shot in the house, and use all that sort of angst and everything. And then I realised that I'm not that filmmaker. It would be like pretentious twaddle and embarrassing, and a really horrible sort of tribute to my dad. So then I wrote to Toby and said, I'm a terrible writer, but here's a skeleton idea of what I want to do. Do you think you can write something? And he was like, this sounds great, I'm going to go and do it. And then, and then he did.
How much did you direct him through that screenwriting process? Like, because you had your own experience, were you like really pushing him to put those details in there?
Yeah.
Collaborative, right?
It was, yeah. So he came back with a draft, and I was like, kind of pissed off, because I suddenly realised this is not a film I can make pulling favours and shooting it really quickly, down and dirty, which I felt really comfortable about. I felt like timing is everything, and I know how long these films take to make, and it's been painful, and I thought I just need to get this thing done really quickly, otherwise I'm not going to do it. I'm going to slip back and fall back into this thing that I've been in the last 25 years. So I just was like, oh man, this is such a bigger script, it's kind of crazy. But then I just fell in, so I pissed off the writer, which doesn't help. You should never really upset your writer for a film you're going to work on. And it took a long time for us to come back, and then we sort of collaborated on it and de-greasied it, which, because it was, at one stage it felt to me, tonally, there was a lot of parallels. Mm-hmm. So it was some of the dialogue and things, so we just sort of spent maybe 18 months, I think, fine-tuning it and getting feedback and ending up with what we did. And then we sent it. We were making jokes about, wouldn't it be great if Elijah was in it? And then eventually we sent it to Elijah with a photo of Skrillex.
That's true.
You just answered two questions there that I wanted to ask. We'll get to the...
Covering so much ground, we don't even really...
Yeah, Elijah, the first question that I wrote down was, Elijah, the hair. What, how, and why? So,
Yeah, it was an evolution.
okay.
Yeah, well, the first image that I got was indeed Skrillex, and he was quite serious about it. He's like, this is kind of how I imagine Norval will look. And I was like, okay, well, that's a starting point. Let's talk about this and collaborate. And it got more extreme. Some of your references became actually more extreme. From there, it didn't get...
I got really confident after you
didn't
said
get
yes.
down. Yeah, exactly.
But did you write it, or was it written with Elijah in mind, or when you got to the finished point, you thought Elijah is perfect for this?
Well, Elijah's the only star I kind of know, so... If I'm being honest, and I thought that would be the easiest way to get this damn thing made, so I was just really...
I'm a cheap date.
But to that point, Elijah, yeah, having seen the film a couple of times now, I can't imagine anyone else being in this. And I mean, you've made an unbelievable amount of films. I'm going to say that this is absolutely up there, like, with your absolute best work. So I mean, it's a phenomenal performance, and you bring. You know, tonally, like, it's perfect, you've got your chops in there, but the thing that you do is you bring real heart to this, which is what I think is really critical to making this film work because of its source. Knowing the backstory that Ant had in bringing this film together and where it's really rooted, did you feel like a sense of gravity and like you had to deliver both on a personal and a professional level on this film?
Definitely. Yeah, you kind of hit it on the head. I felt more stressed than I normally feel working in the film because of the fact that it was so personal to Ant. It was something that he was going through to a certain degree. I mean, the character was obviously a fictionalized version. It's not Ant, but it was, the experiences are very emotional and rooted in truth. And I needed to respect that and bring that to life in a way that was befitting his experience. So yeah, there was a fair amount of pressure.
There's a scene in particular after Norval's dad who's died, and then you lie down and fall asleep next to him. But before that, you're really venting on him. How close to real life was that? And share whatever you're comfortable with. But then also, as you were shooting that, and then as you were participating from an acting standpoint, both of you, what was...
Was that the drunken scene yelling at him and then passing out next to him?
Exactly, yeah. What was that like for both of you?
That was actually the thing in the script. I feel like every film that I work on, there's always one scene that I'm petrified of, and that was always the thing. That particular scene. So it was just, it was marked on the calendar in our schedule of like, fuck me, I'm not going to do this. That was an intense day.
Yeah, no, I didn't have a screaming match with my dead dad. But in the original script, it was a lot more visceral. The climax of that scene was him smashing a bottle in his face, which I thought might be a little bit too much. So, but I just remember that was a roller coaster for you to go through, because we wanted it in one big long take as well. And it was a tough day, and I thought you did an incredible job. I mean, I just felt so lucky having Elijah on board because of the grounding that he gave a character that could really easily slip into cartoon land. Yeah. Just from his whole look and just the nature of the character. But it was just a joy to see such absurd material be brought down through the power of his performance. So yeah, thank you, Elijah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was also a lot of fun. We spent the majority of the time making this film in that house.
Yeah.
That house is a location. It was actually a father and a son had built that house together. Interestingly enough, it was there's a hotel on the island where we were. The owners of the hotel, I guess the father and the son had built this house, and so that was our home. And a good portion of the movie is Norval on his own.
Yeah.
So there were days and days and days of it felt like we were making a play. It was like Norval wakes up and hears a noise. It was very internal, a lot of what was going on. And there was something kind of enjoyable about that too, this sort of space that we'd all got ourselves into as a crew and as this sort of family in the environment of the house, which kind of became its own character as well.
That environment, that house in particular, is amazing.
It really
There's
is.
that one shot when Noel's dad has died, and you're in there, and you've got that one shot in which the camera's like spinning around you. It's amazing. Were these? Had you envisioned an environment like that when you were putting the thing together, or was it when you were location scouting? You were like, that's the place, and it'll bring a whole new lease of life to the film.
Yes and yes. I mean, yeah. So it was always going to be as close to water as possible, and we circumnavigated Vancouver Island a lot. We did a huge drive in the recce early on, and then we came to this Tofino, went along the beach, and there was like a miniature version of that house that was further down on a rocky outcrop, and I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. And we checked it out, but it was like tiny, like a quarter of the size of the other place. And then I was like, this is perfect for exteriors and everything. This is what we want. And then I think the scout said, oh, you should check out this house just further down. So we walked down the end of the beach, and it was just there, and I was like, this has to be it. And then you do that annoying thing where it's like, you tell the producers, it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it anywhere else. And then, without even talking to the family. So we were kind of like fingers crossed it was going to play out. And then I think Meeting Marie said it was going to be a rom-com with Elijah. and the family were really stoked about that. So.
Have you seen the film?
No, but I'm sure you can actually stay in the daddy house pretty soon. They'll be offering it for weekends.
You might either have like totally crashed their business or sent it through the roof. So that's.
He won Hoteler of the Year in 1997. I think was that the poster in the,
I think you're right.
when you were where his dad's being tortured. And
Yeah.
down there was a poster. That's actually the real garage.
Yeah.
Of the building, so we kind of cheated everything. But downstairs there was a mouldy old poster of the guy who rented us the place,
I didn't even see
saying Hotelier of the Year 1997, and he brought all these people over during the shoot to introduce us to him. But he was kind of a loving guy. He just said, just don't do anything to damage the house. And then we were like, oh, the dandy scene is going to be really interesting to shoot. But yeah.
So not just Elijah, the whole cast in this film. There isn't a weak link. Everyone, it's an incredible cast, but everyone delivers super hard. Going down and seeing Martin Donovan, like from how hard this movie is,
Right.
to like he's amazing.
He's so good.
And he's so good.
Yeah.
You
He's
got
so into this film. Like I was texting Christian late last night saying, Martin's thinking about jumping on a plane and coming down just because he feels like he's missing out on all the fun of the festival stuff. But
Yeah, he's great.
Michael Smiley.
Yeah, Steve McCaddy, who plays your sort of dad, and then Michael Smiley appears with these teeth. So, I mean, he's phenomenal.
Smiley
He's
turns up to
always
every
great.
film with his own teeth. I mean, his like false teeth.
Yes.
Because the first I met him in the cafe when we went to lunch that day, and he goes, "What do you think of these?" And he just pulls out these teeth and puts them in. I go, "Oh, perfect. Let's go with that."
Did you kind of cast this? Did you know who you wanted for these roles, or was it more like the
I mean,
cast?
Smiley was like, absolutely. We were lucky to get Smiley mainly through Andy Stark,
Yeah.
who was also a producer on The Greasy Strangler, and he's good buddies with obviously Ben Wheatley and Smiley. And so, yeah, I just pressured Andy and said, can you pull a favour and get this in front of Michael and see if his schedule is free? And he was like, I'm down, let's do it.
Yeah, it's great. And that side of the process, that's definitely leaning more on your kind of producer chops. Being the first film you directed, what was that experience like? And then Elijah working with a first-time director, how was that? You could be.
Well, it was crazy for me. I mean, that's the sort of question. It's like, how is it different from producing? It's so different. I think I'll be a way better producer now after being a director, just because the communication you understand from the other side in the trenches is really different. But yeah, no, I completely lost my mind basically and just pretended to put on a brave face. But again, I think I was really lucky to have Elijah, who I knew personally and who was just on top of everything from day one. I mean, McHattie was kind of intimidating because I'd watched a video of McHattie at the Toronto Film Festival before casting him, and he destroyed this journalist on the red carpet, and I was like, fuck, this guy's serious. Like, I really respected. I grew up watching things like Moving Violations, you know, with McHattie. And so I was like in awe of the guy. You know, what am I going to tell a guy who's been acting for 60 years? And so he turned up and he was like, hey, he was a very stoic guy. He like maybe said 5 words the entire time of the film. And I was like, hey, it's great to have you. You know, should we have a chat? And he just stared at me for 2 minutes without saying anything. we had this intense stare off, and I didn't blink, and then I didn't say anything, and he just went, good. Like, all right, let's shoot this fucker. So yeah, no, just it was a great cast. I mean, just I think we were super lucky. It was just one of those. I mean, filmmaking's about alchemy, and sometimes you get really lucky and everything just gels. And I just think we got really, really lucky, and just some great people turned up.
Yeah, it comes across in the film, like tonally, like you really hit the sweet spot between something that's really dark, but then there's, as I said earlier, there's a sincerity and there's a heart to the film that really shines through at the end, which you've got to work your way through the film to get there, but it really bears fruit come the end. Can I shout at your dad? Sure. Yeah, okay, we're amongst friends. So I just asked Elijah. Elijah, he's a new dad. His son is 2 weeks. 2 weeks old. So we pulled him away. Now that you're a dad, do you view this film differently? Are there things that you see in this film, or you think about the script and you're like, yeah, I probably shouldn't kidnap someone and leave my kid?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, I'd have to watch the movie. I didn't watch it tonight, so I'd have to watch it now with fresh eyes. But, I don't know, I have an interesting relationship with my own father that I think played into this a little bit too. That idea of being estranged and wanting to get to know somebody from having been slightly estranged from that person. I think we can all relate to that on some level. Well, maybe not all. People have amazing dads.
Fuck them. Films for daddy issue people only.
But to speak to Ant as a director, by the way, it was ultimately a natural fit. I mean, I think, you know, there was a lot of conversation leading up to making the film, from the script to the character to how Norval would look and kind of these little idiosyncrasies that we were going to work on physically. But, you know, there was a great deal of confidence that I had in you, and I think that you had in regards to the vision that you had for this. I mean, you've been sort of sitting on this for a while, and I think, you know, it's that thing of when you get a group of people together, when you've assembled your team, there's a sense of confidence on how to put that thing to you know, how to ultimately put it all together. And, you know, there was no question every day that you knew where we were going, and I leaned on you equally, you know.
Because I went around to everybody at the first day and I said, this is for my dead father. No pressure, but can you bring your A game?
His foot was also broken by week 1.
What?
Yeah, so he rolled his ankle on the rocks that are on the outside of the home. It was the first week, right?
Yeah. Like
Maybe
10 days in.
Okay, yeah.
How long was the shoot?
21. Yeah. 21 days.
Yeah.
21 days.
So he rolled his ankle, didn't go to the emergency room, got like some kind of moon boot thing, kept walking on it, was like, it's fine. Didn't get an x-ray. I was like, you should probably get an x-ray. He's like, nah, it's cool. And then like a week after that, you took the moon boot off, you were fine. You were walking around and then you re-injured it. Because it in fact hadn't.
I was a mess, basically, yeah.
But then he gets back to New Zealand. When he finally gets back to New Zealand is when he actually goes to get an x-ray, and it had been broken. He'd broken his foot. The whole time.
Christian, we suffered for this film, I mean.
Indeed. For art. Do you want to direct again, or was this such a personal experience that you felt that you had to do it?
I think, I mean, definitely the personal connection. I mean, I wasn't looking at scripts to like, I felt the need. It was through that experience. So, and my mum's dead as well, so I guess I got to wait for a civic to cark it and then work on
Part 2?
I could be one and done. I mean, I can't top this cure.
Family, is it going to be like the family death saga from Timpson?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of relatives, so...
This is how Ant processes his family members' deaths, by making movies about them.
Yeah, I will mention you down the line. I don't talk to you now, but I will talk about you after you're gone.
Yeah,
it was exhilarating. Seriously, I had such a blast. So different from producing stuff. It was terrifying and exhilarating. It was like bungee jumping every day, and you get into routines in life, and I feel like you have to, once you get comfortable, that's not a good place to be, and I feel like you need to be challenged, and I felt super challenged on this thing, so I kind of love that feeling, and I want to get back to that.
Yeah, we need to see more films from you. Let's take some questions from the audience, lady right there.
Yeah, so there's like a perfect balance between like dark shit and humor in this. I was wondering what the process was like, both writing and directing it, and also for you, Elijah, acting out these hysterical yet terrifying scenes, like finding that balance like throughout the.
So the question for the rest of the audience is talk about the balancing act between the dark shit and the really fun stuff, both from a directing standpoint and Elijah Frank.
I mean, first we sort of, we knew at the script stage it was going to be a real high wire act to control the tone, and I kind of felt like confident if the actors knew what you wanted and what the tone of it was going to be, to play everything kind of straight, no matter how extreme and absurd it got. It was going to work out, but until you really get into the edit and see how things are sort of gelling, you don't really know, and it is subjective. Like some people think like maybe, once things get a bit too wacky, it's like it loses the grounding of the first, 60 or so, and then it's not gonna, they're not gonna buy it. But I think it's worth taking the risk to try and balance as high as you can go, just because it feels different, because we're so used to seeing these sort of pedestrian tonal films. So I kind of like the fact that we took a few chances and hopefully it worked out.
Is it the film that you envisioned?
Yeah, like that's the most surprising thing. It's like pretty damn close to how it was, like what I wanted it to turn out. I'm really stoked with it.
You should be really proud. Gentleman right there is kind of jumping up. Oh, Greasy Strangler hat. Yeah, you go.
Hi, so Greasy Strangler is actually my most watched movie of all time, 19.
Wait, what?
Wow.
Security.
That's awesome. With so many great people and so many great movies, Greasy Strangler, Deathgasm, Turbo Kid, and I'm wondering, because this film was so personal, and this was your first time directing, did you kind of go to those people and like the way their styles and kind of have that inspire you, or did you try to kind of resist that, and because it was so personal?
The question is, did you lean on other filmmakers and past experience with filmmakers in making this?
No, I don't think so. I think, if anything, I mean, I'm probably inspired. I'm really old compared to those filmmakers that I work with, who are usually like young, new, original voices. So I kind of like all the films that inspired me from like when I was a child, or like the mid-70s kind of films, and they're the seminal ones that you carry through. And but no, I think if you try to Xerox too much, then it's really obvious. So it's like you just get influenced by things, and then it just comes out naturally. But the minute you start like Xeroxing literally, then it just looks like a carbon copy, and it's not personal anymore. It just becomes like a sort of muted vision.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like cues in there, and like watching the game tonight, I almost saw like some Coen Brothers in there, but it's not something that they would do. It's uniquely your own. So like that voice is really prevalent. It's beautiful. Gentleman, right there.
Yeah, well, I've always been a big fan of yours ever since The Good Son, And I was just, I remember reading, an article like when you were 13, you were saying that how...
I can't be held accountable to what I said when I was 13.
It was just an article where you talked about how you're able to transition from a child actor to a grown actor and everything like that. And you said that you owe a big credit to your mother to keep you grounded and everything like that.
Oh, without question, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was just wondering, I even remember in the article, you were 13 and you said that she wouldn't even let you see Natural Born Killers when he came out in the theaters.
Yeah, that would have been irresponsible.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, now, how does she feel about all these movies that you're making now? I mean, Greasy Strangler.
That's a good question.
Fucked up films.
They are.
The question, it was a long chat. For a short question, how does your mom feel about the fucked up films you're making today?
Some of them I don't think she's aware of. Like, I don't know that she's aware of Greasy Strangler. Like, I don't know if I've broached that with her. However, she has seen Mandy, and I took her to Mandy in Austin.
Wow.
And I took her with confidence, thinking, she's going to love this. And I don't know what I was thinking. Because I sat down and the movie was about to start, and I was like, oh, I've made a grave error. This is a terrible decision. And she fucking loved it. And then took her boyfriend to see it, like, the next week.
Amazing.
Did
the boyfriend like it as well?
He did. He did.
Bravo.
Both, and yeah, they were both 70. Pretty amazing.
Unbelievable.
Not ageist.
Gentleman right there, yeah.
This film has like one of the most impressive dick stabbing shots. How did you in the editing room figure out the perfect amount of dick stabbing?
Thank you for noticing
I think we should
the
repeat
number
that.
of dick
I think we should
stabs.
repeat that because it's probably the best question anyone has ever asked. There's an incredible amount of dick stabbing in this film. When you were in the edit bay, how did you determine the correct amount of dick stabbing? And Timpson.
Well, I'm married, so I don't even know what that means. But yeah, those sort of moments you lose your mind in the editing room. You can just same with what the sound of a poo pen should sound going into a person's body.
Yeah.
You can get lost in that world. It's kind of weird because that scene was supposed to make the audience kind of complicit, that you go really far and it becomes like this kind of crowd pleasing moment, and then you push it, you go a little bit too far. And I always use that analogy, like when you see someone running into a glass door in a mall and smashing it, you go, oh, that's funny. And then they turn away and they're bleeding, and you go, ooh, and you still laugh, kind of. So I was kind of getting that tonal, trying to get to that point. So that's what I was thinking about in the editing room.
What? Yes.
And Carl's here, and Sky was here, and he had to go.
Oh, hey.
Hello, Sky. Hello, Cal from the Greasy Strangler. We love you.
We do indeed. Next question. Yeah, lady right there. What's the significance of the tiger?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I really like tigers.
I don't even know.
There's a lot of convoluted stuff that will sound, now that I've had too many beers, kind of semi-pretentious, but we wrote this. I said to Toby, it's like, great actors, they need to have amazing background of their characters. They want this rich history to draw on. And so we wrote a crazy history of this whole film, like 2 prequels worth, of where they came from and the whole history of the Bangkok kidnapping scheme, and how Jethro used to run a bar called the Jaguar Lounge, which is what Dandy is wearing in the big fight scene. And they all named themselves after a big cat. So there was the tiger, the lion, the jaguar, and the panther. And they all the characters wear the rings of the gang. And so this big cat gang is what they were called. I'm just losing everyone right now, I can tell. There's a lot of tiger motifs. There's a symbolism between Elijah's character and the father, were connected through a tiger, and I kind of wanted that to play into the rest of the film in kind of sometimes obvious ways, but other times subtle ways. And then there's kind of some insider baseball in that as well, that if I start explaining it will sound really naff. So I'm taking the, I won't explain it.
But is it fair to say, so now you said there's like 2 prequels in there, is there any chance that we're going to get to see McHattie, Martin and Smiley come back for a prequel?
I need to watch The Irishman to see how the de-aging looks with a budget under $1 million.
Don't even bother, just tell people they're younger.
We've got we want to see the mum. If we're going to do, we will do an immediate sequel starting on the beach, going from there.
It's perfect. All right, any other questions in the room? Gentleman right there, yeah?
Elijah, you seem to choose a lot of characters that end up way over their heads, maybe unprepared for the situation they're going to find themselves. Like Green Street Foodie and everything illuminated, even Frodo. What kind of draws you to those kind of roles?
Elijah, it seems like you're drawn to characters who get in well over their head. What draws you to those roles?
It feels coincidental, honestly. Genuinely. I mean, I can see the pattern. A pattern has emerged, but they are all for different reasons. This was so specifically because I wanted to work with Ant, and because I love Toby as a writer, and I read the script and it was unlike anything I'd read. The character was really weird, but there was also heart in him, despite there was this, kind of artifice. So I'm drawn to filmmakers and interesting ideas, and not necessarily characters specifically, or looking for a character that is a fish out of water or in over his head. Although those scenarios do present quite a lot of sort of dramatic fun to be had.
All right, let's take one more. We had a dick stabbing question. It was really good. So the next one, this last one, I bet it was really, really good. Do you have an amazing question?
Probably not.
Hey, it's honest.
I appreciate that. Just for that alone, we'll take another one. What's the question?
I just would like to know if the audience reaction met the expectation of the process when you were creating.
Did the audience reaction meet the expectation of the process when you were creating? I think for both of you guys.
That's a really cool question. Yeah.
I don't know about tonight because I was out there drinking instead of watching it. But overall, I mean, I think it's weird to watch it in different countries as well. So you can see it in Seoul and see how the audience reacts.
Differently,
yeah, so in various foreign locales, and it seems to play universally. I mean, it's kind of weird because the subtitling is not. Yeah, sometimes those sort of language jokes that Toby has a lot of fun with language seem to land elsewhere. But it seems to play exactly as it should. The weird thing is like the Michael Heseltine line, which gets a laugh from people who probably have no idea who he is as well, but because we explain the joke for them.
There is no uglier politician on the planet, or disheveled, than Michael Heseltine. So when Smiley said that when I watched it the first time, I literally just died in my boots right there. But the fact that the film translates into any territory, and it played through the roof here, the fact that it does that, regardless of whether, it's your hometown, or it's across the world, or it's with subtitles, is truly a testament to the work that you put in you
keep going.
Influenced. I don't want to call you the writer, right? But you were so intimately involved in that. But the story that you bring to this, the way that you directed this film, you really, really balanced this thing because it could go either way, but you nailed it right down the fucking middle. And then Elijah, exactly the same for you. There's a million ways that this character could have gone, but you both pulled it off seamlessly. And so the fact that this film is playing so well across the world is a pure testament to both of you and the work you've done. So thank you guys for being here.
Special mention to Kat as well. Our cinematographer was really extraordinary.
Yeah.
And was a real ally. The two of you worked together very closely.
He was.
An important relationship.
He's a crazy Irishman, and I love him to death.
Yeah.
We love those. So from one crazy Irishman to one crazy New Zealander, and you're not that crazy, Elijah. Your characters are, though. But let's give a huge round of applause Jonathan Dagsburg, and Timpson, and Star Elijah Wood. Thank you.
You want me to take a photo? Oh my God. Elijah. Drop the mic. I hold the weight of the camera on it. It's like I'm like hogging.